This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop, life.
I'm in Miami Beach, right? Atlantic Ocean, tropical paradise. Water is clear and bluish green and beautiful. The sand white, the beach huge. I'm there for a shoot for Inkpulp instruction. And I'm done. It's my last day there. And my room has been overlooking this ocean for days. And I could see when the sun was high, the sandbar, the ocean, the beach, dipping down, coming back up in a sandbar, I don't know, maybe about 30 yards out. And it was, I don't know, something calling me there, wondering how shallow it is. And I get out there my last morning before my plane. You get a couple hours. Water feels great. And I start to walk out, dive in. Ocean water is it's just healing. It's just good for my soul. It's where I need to go to get the answers, to dump my shit, to fill my battery tanks, whatever it is. And I'm out in there and I'm looking out to try to see where the sandbar is. It's hard to see when you're in it. And there's some like little, they're like buoys, but they're balls, and they're like, every 10 yards apart. And I thought the sandbar was at the first one. I walked out to it. It was about up to my neck in the water, and that wasn't it. And I knew the water was dropping more from that point until the sandbar. So there was some anxiety. Nothing major. I mean, the waves are tiny. There's no real reason to have this anxiety. It's probably typical anxiety of hitting that point in the beach where you can't touch, in the ocean where you can't touch the ground anymore. Nothing that's stopping me. But I noticed it's stopping a lot of people. So I just start swimming. And I'm not swimming for long before I check the bottom. It's not there. Maybe you get a little panicky. Not too bad. But no one else was doing that. And I'm thinking, I was in a really good spot before. I was grounded. I was where everyone else was. And it was really nice. But it seems to me in my life, or just some people, like the norm isn't it for us. So I kept swimming. And this is not a far swim. I'm not trying to make it sound like it is. It's not. I swim for maybe a total of 30, 45 seconds. And then I feel bottom again. And I start walking and walking. Now the water is perfectly clear. I can see my toes. I start walking, walking, walking. Next thing I know, I'm at the height of the sandbar. The water is between my ankles and my knees. And I'm 30 yards out in the Atlantic Ocean. And no one else was there. And I just was like, this is the magic spot right here. Because you're so far removed from the beach and everything. You are just in it. You're in the ocean. And I sat down and just stayed there. And I thought about all the things going on in my head. I thought about life. I thought about this past year. I thought about my career, my art, my finances, my family, my friends. I just thought about everything, and it's just like clarity is given to me there. And then I started thinking about what I just did as a metaphor. The norm, where most people go, involves no challenge. And where they go to get to the good part is easy. And with just an ounce of effort, you can go further and experience something much deeper, much more meaningful, much more unique, much more interesting than by just staying with the norm. And that's just my spirit. I mean, I'm not a conformist, and I never have been. But that drive to discover what's beyond the point that everyone else is just happy with. That's me. And I think that's artists. I think it's creative people. And I think that's what drives us. So I found in this the most amazing metaphor. And that spot on that sandbar, and I'm sure in a month that sandbar will be somewhere else. It might be closer in, it might be further out. It might not even exist. But where I was in that moment of time, I found my paradise. And I found my clarity. And I'm telling you all this story because what if we all just pushed ourselves a little bit more? I've talked a lot about pushing yourselves a lot more. But in this instance, it wasn't a lot more. It was a little more. It was a 30 to 45 second swim. And that got me thinking, maybe I pushed too hard. Maybe. Pushing too hard can be bad. If you're talking exercise, it can lead to injury. If you're talking work, it can lead to breakdown or burnout. Sorry. I'm still a little tired from the trip. But there's a sweet spot. And if you just push yourself, you might find it. And I might too. I'm going to apply that to 2021. I pushed myself fucking hard as hell in 2020. And I think 2021 is about pushing yourself, but not too much so. Finding that balance. So I'll speak more on that as 2021 goes along. We're not there yet, but this is just an experience I had, and I wanted to drop that on you. Today, thank you for coming here, for listening to the Inkpulp podcast. I have an artist on today who I've been a big fan of for a while. I've never met in person. Since I've done this video stuff, I haven't reached out to enough artists I don't know. Like Dave Tevenall I did, and that turned out to be a great episode, and Dave and I are like friends now, and that's a cool thing to connect with other artists. So Urban Aztec, Jesse, is another artist. Him and Dave are friends, I'm pretty sure. And Jesse's a graffiti artist. Jesse's a toy designer. Jesse's just one of those artists that is doing his thing his way. I admire the fuck out of that. And as you know, that's where I'm going too. So I thought it'd be good to talk to someone who's doing well with it and whose work is mad inspiring. And that's what happened today. And we kicked it off too. And now we're kosher. So let's take the first lesson. Push yourself a little bit more. The second lesson, reach out to people. Maybe you're shy. Maybe you're finding reasons not to talk to someone. But if you just reach out, you might find your sandbar too. That's all I'm saying. And in the creative community, I think we could all be a lot tighter. think that'd be make for a more fertile, creative playing field. So, if you've never listened to the podcast, welcome to it. If you're a regular, welcome back. Like this YouTube post, comment on it, and please make sure you've subscribed to the channel. We're building, and 2021 is going to be a big building year for my YouTube channel. Got a lot cooking there. Inkpulp instruction is coming in 2021 in full effect. I have all the videos shot for next year, and I'm starting to work on my videos for 2022. Other than that, follow me at Inkpulp on all social media. I'm building so much shit, and I'm working so much shit. So if you're digging this, if you're digging my vibe, if you're digging my art, just follow me. We're gonna have a good year next year, and that's on God. Peace. So I didn't. You said you knew Mob Food. You guys did a show together.
We met back at VTN back in the day, which is Designer Con, but before it became Designer Con. So they'd do like live art paintings and stuff like that, and so everybody would jump up and jam out on them and stuff.
Right, Jim. See, Jim got into that world, and I love that. I wish I would have known more about it. And I discovered Designer Con, I think right before COVID hit, and I was like, I'm gonna go do that next year. And
Yeah.
Then COVID hit. But tell me what exactly that show is.
So Designer Con, it's like it started off as Vinyl Toy Network, right? So it was like all about the vinyl toy scene, and so it was like one of the rare spots where people would come specifically for vinyl, and then that's where like all the different artists and stuff would be at,
Right.
And so it's always dope because all the homies are there, and it just kept continued to grow over the years. And so now it's and that was in Pasadena. Now it's in Anaheim, across from Disneyland. And but yeah, with that, I mean, it's always been super fun, man. And like, I think everybody does pretty well. And one of the spots where it's like, oh shit, this is like everyone I know from everywhere, So
Right. So go ahead.
No, go. I was just gonna say, like, there's, it's probably one of the times where I'm like, yo, there's legit 1,000 people I want to talk to right now, and all of us are too busy to even say anything unless they're in the same row.
Right. Yeah, it sounds like a Comic-Con for me.
Yeah.
So let's get into, like, I want to know all about you, your art, your history, and everything. But what got you into like vinyl toys and stuff? When did you get into that? How did you get into that?
So with the vinyl scene, I think it was probably like around 2002, something like that, maybe 2003. I started collecting, and actually the first like the vinyl stuff I became aware of was the Biddies by my homie Roy Miles.
Yeah.
And so those were all super hip hop inspired. And then from there, he introduced me to like Kid Robot. And so I started scoping that, and it was like, oh shit, toys and graffiti mixed, like what is happening?
Right.
And then I saw like Michael Lau stuff and Tim Sue and all dudes from there. And just kept tripping out on it, and started collecting things. And from there, started doing custom ones and trying to figure out how to do production ones. And just kind of went through that whole process until you started putting out your own figures. It was a trip, man.
You've put out so the vinyls that you've put out, you manufacture them and handle all that?
So normally I license a character, and then someone else will handle all the productions.
Okay.
And but like the very first one, yeah, I had to go get it like originally produced in Asia. You know, I started working with Big Plastics at the time to produce the Ozomatli, which is the Aztec Monkey King.
Right.
And so that was the first like original sculpt that I put out. And so yeah, that was a trip, man. Like just trying to figure out that whole thing.
Was that profitable for you to do it that way?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, I mean, you know, at the time it was just like such a dream, bro. You know, like I wasn't even thinking about all that. I just wanted it to happen, you know. So I mean, yeah, I mean, they're all, you know, profitable, but it's you know, just for me, it was just about having that come out. Like it meant so much to make it happen.
Right.
Yeah, seeing things come to life, you know, it's always a trip.
Right.
Like I imagine for you, say whenever a comic comes out, right, that you worked on,
Yeah.
you're just like, oh shit, what? Like, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm really interested in vinyls myself right now. That's kind of why I'm asking.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So
But yeah, so I've been doing it since man, I think the around 2005 was when my first like collaborative piece came out.
okay.
And so yeah, it's been a long time in the game for sure.
So you come from so I guess like your origin, like I guess you were a kid like me, always liked to draw as a little
For
kid.
sure. Oh yeah, for sure. Like you know, you'd be in class, I'd be always drawing instead of, you know, taking notes or something like that. You should have been doing,
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
know. It's here comes study time or whatever it is. Like, all right, cool. I'm gonna draw some, you know, superheroes and demons and shit. You know, like,
Right.
or
Yes. Yeah, I
whatever,
know exactly
you
what you
know,
mean. Yeah.
whatever it happens to be, you know.
Totally.
And yeah, always messing around with drawing stuff. And for me, it's yeah, just been. I guess it's just been a part of you the whole time. But you know, I didn't really pay attention till later on, like after high school and all that. And it's like, hey, what are you gonna do now? Oh yeah, I guess you know you should be an artist. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess that's kind of what I've been doing. Let's just stick with that.
Okay, so you didn't like grow
You
up
know,
having like a childhood dream of doing this.
I mean, it was stuff that like you wanted to do. I mean, I think when I was a kid, you wanted to do all types of stuff. I wanted to be like a, you know, pro skateboarder. I wanted to draw
Right.
comics. Actually, like that was the first thing for me was comics. But
Okay.
I think along the way, I realized I was more of a cover dude than you know, like I
Right.
couldn't draw like hella panels normally. I mean, I think you know, at this point, I might be able to force myself, but I was more of like, let's do one really sick image, you know, and
Yeah, I
go to
got
the
you.
next
I
one,
got you.
you know. So I think that kind of geared me away from comics for a while. But
Okay.
like that originally, like so I called myself Immortal Studios, and that was all fully on the comic tip where everyone was a studio, right?
Oh, right.
You know,
Yeah.
and so that's where that name came from. And
Okay. Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that. I saw that in your email.
yeah. So that's that fully OG ass email right there too, man. Freaking Hotmail.
Was it Hotmail?
Bro, it was Hotmail.
Oh shit! I didn't know.
I have a bunch of emails, but I gave you the super OG Hotmail one.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Damn, dude. I haven't even
You know,
logged into my Hotmail account in like years.
bro, like it's you don't be using that on a job interview. They'll be like, "What? How old are you?"
I know. I know. I think Hotmail stopped working with Macs. Or I had
Oh,
to,
okay.
I remember at one time it was like I went to log in, like I hadn't logged in like a year. I was like, let me just see if there's anything in there. And it was like, you're on a Mac, homie. You gotta do this and this. And I was like, fuck it. I'm done.
I heard that.
I'll just stop. So and then graffiti came into your life at some point.
Yeah. So, I mean, the irony, I got I was arrested when I was 14 for tagging stuff, and now you get paid to do it, which is super funny to
Right.
me.
Tell me the arrest story, because I mean I was 14 when I painted too. I got caught by my parents, not the police, and that threw the
Well,
kibosh on
so
that.
somebody at school snitched on me, and my dumbass was too honest at the time. Where if I'd have just been like, nah, I didn't do that shit, they'd have no real proof other than someone saying it, right? And I probably did
Right.
have, I had all this shit in my pocket that did it, but whatever. So if it would have come to it, yeah, but I was like, yeah, I did it. So what?
Right.
So you're gonna come with us, sir. I'm like, oh fuck, what did I do?
Oh shit! Did they get you at school?
No, so and that was the thing is, when the cops pulled up, it was like, they had already told me, yo, we already talked to your principal. He told us this, that, and the other thing. I was like, oh shit, well, I guess it's already a wrap. So they know the deal, and he already talked to me. So, and then his bitch ass, went and told the cops. But yeah. So I ended up doing work detail for a while.
Ugh,
And
man, I've been there too.
yeah, that was no fun. But but yeah, bro. So it's pretty ironic and funny.
Then how did you get known and work your way to like doing legit murals and stuff?
So I let's see. So I just started probably picking it up again. I was always doing stuff differently in different realms, right? And was doing animation for a while. And
you were?
yeah, so I was doing like cartoons and stuff back during like the Atom Films era, right? Like Flash cartoons and stuff like that.
Right.
And I did a cartoon called Writer's Block, which is all about a dude teaching the alphabet through graffiti.
Oh, that's cool.
It's funny, man. And so we're doing that, and then that led to a cartoon called The Nut Shack for the Filipino channel.
Okay.
Let's see, I just seen the DVD over here. Where'd it go? It disappeared. All right, anyways. But so then we did like 2 seasons of this cartoon it was mixed TV. And so that was super fun to work on, man. And like we had different comedians working with us and stuff. But it was all crazy too, because like it was all like trial by fire. You learn as you go.
Right.
And so like when it started off, I was doing all the animation, and I said like, hey, dude, we're gonna need more people. They're like, oh, you can't just do it by yourself. I mean, no, I'll try, but trust me, bro, we're gonna need more people. And so I think a few months went by, and I had done like 7 minutes of animation or something like that.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And they were like, okay, we're starting to see what you're talking about. I'm like, And so then we ended up working with a studio in the Philippines on that one, and yeah, it was a trip, man. And so it's super funny too, because it kind of like, it was a fun show, and this was around when like Boondocks was happening and all the other Adult Swim stuff, and so we were kind of on that vein, Adult Swim style, and then like it kind of fell off for a while, and because there wasn't a ton of like marketing or push on it, specifically, and it was only on certain areas available. Right. And then from there, it came back as like a crazy meme for a while on on the YouTube, and like people were like, oh, it's like the worst cartoon ever and this and that. I'm like, well, shit. Like, shit. I mean, I think you're kind of tripping right now. But at the same time, I'd rather be remembered for that than being in the middle of the road and no one even noticed.
Right, that's true. That's true.
I'll take that.
For sure.
And yeah, it was comedy, bro. Then they started doing remixes of the theme song. And I think the funniest part of it was that people must have thought like we had some insane budget or something. And I'm
Right.
like, dude, like you're comparing us to cartoons that had more budget for one episode than we had for 2 seasons.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like I don't know what you're talking about. Like we were a glorified like web cartoon basically.
And
You
it was
know, we were just
a cartoon you created and got backing for?
so I was picked up to do the artwork, and then we ended up kind of recreating the world together. Me and my homie Ramon Lopez.
Okay.
So it's all originally his creation. So I was mainly the art style guy.
Okay.
And it became like animation director, and so we did storyboards and all types of character designs and things.
And how did you know about that stuff? Like, were you trained in that, or you just figured it out as you went?
I was fucking winging it, brother.
You what?
I was winging it.
All right, yeah, all right. That's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah, this is the DVD right here.
Oh shit.
So it's real like hip hop style characters and stuff too. Yeah, so that was a blast, brother. Working on that, we get some random storyboards and stuff. So we drew it like we would just split like a page, and that became the way we did different storyboards.
Oh, that's so dope to see all that.
So like OG pencils and
How
stuff.
long ago was that?
This was from like I think we started in 2004 to like 2011 roughly. And so like I was doing toys and stuff the whole time I was working on this stuff too.
Okay.
Yeah, just randomly.
That's dope. So do you remember like when you like kind of discovered hip hop?
Shoot, bro, I mean music has been such a heavy influence on me since day one. But yeah, I mean, I remember watching Yo MTV raps and all that stuff way back in the day as a kid. Sure, I remember when we first heard scratching, bro, like, and we were all trying to figure out what the hell is that sound,
Right. Right.
And like, where does that come from? And then Herbie Hancock came up, like, oh, what is happening?
Right. Rocket.
Yeah, so sick, bro. But yeah, so I mean, it's kind of always been a part of it. I've always been into hip hop and also metal, funk, and combinations of the three.
Yeah.
So,
with me. Did you like the Infectious Grooves when they came out?
Bro, loved it, man.
All right, cool.
Punk it up.
Yeah, I love Saucipius.
I was super hyped to see Rob Trujillo with Metallica.
Yes, me too.
I'm like, oh shit, what?
I started listening to ST. I was probably 13 years old when I started listening to that. Yeah, that was good stuff. So yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same way where like hip hop was always a big part of my art, and then like when I discovered hip hop, that obviously led me down graffiti, and I was it's like hip hop made me feel like I could be a part of this scene, and I had a role in it because I could draw. Like I wasn't trying to be a rapper. I wasn't trying I broke dance, but I was like, oh, my edge here is like I'm an artist, and this scene has a spot for artists. That was hella
for
cool
sure
to discover that.
Oh yeah.
And then, I mean, I'm talking. I don't know how old you are, but I'm talking like early or like mid '80s, like early to mid '80s. Like when.
How old am I, bro? 44.
All right, so
I'm 76.
All right, yeah, I'm a little older than you, not much. I'm 48.
Okay, got you. But yeah, no, so I was tripping out because you're saying it was Far Side, like radio, right?
Yeah. So Farside TV. So one thing I'm doing right now is I'm working on a project with the Far Side, and Dell's involved in it too.
That's what's up, bro. Hell yeah.
Yeah, it's fucking crazy because I mean when Bizarre Ride came out, like that's all I could listen to. That I couldn't believe what I was hearing. when
Man, I mean, Passing Me By is still like
oh God, man.
if not, it's like one of my top 5 all time. Absolutely,
Me too.
you know,
And
like
and Brown's like the first verse, just the way he comes in when in my younger days I used to sport a shag, like that fucks me up. So now to like be talking to him like 3 days a week, every time he speaks, I hear that. I'm like, this
yeah,
is crazy. But yeah,
it's
so
bugged out, bro.
after working with them, you know, for like a little while, we Zoom every week and we like look at the project and listen to it. And he just asked me if I wanted to bring my podcast over there, and I was like, fuck yeah.
No,
So
that's what's up, bro.
the way we do it is on Wednesdays, the podcast goes live on their streaming channels, and like me and Brown will hang out and while it's streaming, they answer like any questions and be involved in the chat. But I pre-record everything, and then on Fridays I release it on my YouTube channel. So like I'm recording now for this is like late December or early Jan when we'll release this one. But
Okay, got you.
it's been hella cool to have that.
No, for sure, bro.
Yeah. So I want to go down this road a little bit. Tell me about Urban Aztec, because like I discovered you on Instagram. I think it was like around the time I was discovering Designer Con, and I saw your stuff, and I just fell in love with your work. But I loved the idea of Urban Aztec. So tell me how
Got
that
you.
came about and what that means to you.
So for me, it was kind of like um, the name came about from the combination of my style, basically, like trying to describe my style. So it's like, the urban has, the graffiti style influence to it. And then most of the time on my like personal work and figure stuff like that, it has like indigenous style to it. And being from my own roots of Aztec, Mexican, Chicano style roots, like it's always kind of like the different characters kind of represent different gods and that culture.
Right.
And so I'm always just kind of trying to keep the culture alive through that. And then, using kind of like a, new, I guess, like symbology in a way, like the new language, right? Like with, the way, kids understand what's on the walls now is different than what it used to be. Right. And so it has like that different flavor to it. With
Right.
the color line flow, like how all that stuff works,
Now, like what I liked about, I felt a very spiritual presence to everything you were doing. Like I assume like you got into learning more and more about your culture and the history and studying the art itself.
For sure. So like, I think for me, each piece is kind of like almost like a history lesson, and it's for myself as much as anyone. So like recently, I've been painting a lot of murals in San Jose. There's this underpass I'm working on, and each one has like a different meaning to it. But so one I did is called Atla Chanoli, which is an eagle holding the symbol of fire and water mixing. And so that's what that means is when fire and water mix. It's like the explosion that happens, right? It's like war, boom, like when they combine. And so the original symbol of, like the Mexican flag has the eagle and the serpent, right?
Right.
And so that's the original symbol that became the serpent. So like they didn't understand what they were looking at, like when the Spanish came and whatever, and it just became reinterpreted into the snake.
Oh.
And so yeah, it was a trip, man. So like I had to get put up on game about that. And so I wanted to paint it to represent it.
So, like with a mural like that, you're hired by the city to do it, and it's like to celebrate the history of the culture in the area.
Yeah, generally. So like, um, I was hired by the city for that, and then yeah, so it was supposed to be, you know, the artwork is supposed to reflect kind of the neighborhood and the culture of the area, and so being in San Jose, there's a really big Hispanic or Latino population,
Uh-huh.
and and then also obviously it's all native land as well,
Right.
um, and so you have to make sure that you're repping hard for the native culture, and honestly, it's the same thing. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
in being Mexican means what? That you were an indigenous person mixed with Spanish. So technically, every Mexican person is Native American. At
Right.
least half, right? So it's
Right.
just
Because
kind
they
of a
didn't
weird.
those boundaries and those borders they had nothing,
It's a
like they didn't
construct.
exist back
Yeah,
then.
yeah. It's all a construct, right?
Right.
Like just to kind of control people and whatever. And it's like, it made it so that people don't see themselves as native. And like there's oftentimes like looked down upon.
Right.
So I remember even like um, my grandfather, they called him like Indian Joe, right? But like at the time, it was uh it was better to be Mexican than native as far as like discrimination and shit like that. And
Oh.
so people would just blend in with the Mexican population. But then now, like in our generation, we're kind of like, yo, nah, man, that's not how it is. Like we want our culture back. So
Right. Right.
it's kind of like everything is kind of trying to reclaim that. But yeah, so it's a trip, and to me, it's all like really sacred, bro. Like everything that I'm working on, like every time I paint something, I bless the wall with sage,
Oh, I
stuff
saw
like
that.
that. Like,
Yeah, I was gonna ask you about that.
yeah,
I saw that. Because I got
um,
stage right here in my studio too.
yeah, man. It's an important thing. But so yeah, each time I show up, I'll bless the space and the wall to make sure everything the energies are on point.
That's
Um,
awesome.
and it just helps me get in the right state of mind too.
Sure,
Um,
man. I love.
you
Yeah,
know,
that's what I felt when I saw your work. Like I said, there was a spiritual element to what I was seeing and feeling in the work, and I love that.
for
Um,
sure, man.
and
It's a trip because it's I don't always talk about stuff, like it is more a feel,
right.
Um, so sometimes like to even verbalize things is a trip to me because I don't normally do
Okay.
it.
I talk my shit to
um,
death. That's
gotcha.
why I was like, I'll start a podcast.
No, for sure, brother.
But I'm curious. So when you started exploring your roots and the history, I'm guessing the more you learned about the art from then, it just infused with what you were doing into
For sure.
what it is now. And that must have been an amazing artistic journey to go on. And still, it seems like you're still going
Yeah,
on.
absolutely. I mean, we're all still learning, right? Like all the
Right.
time.
For
Um,
sure.
like the stuff that you do now. I mean, hopefully, I'll try to knock shit out that I'll be proud of down the road. Like
Right.
with each piece, it's kind of like, you want to make sure that when you see it in 20 years, you're like, oh shit, I went hard on that. Like that thing still looks tough.
Right.
Um, whereas like say maybe technical skills, you'd be like, wow, I should have fixed that line a little bit. You know,
Right.
but
Yeah.
maybe I was hurrying. I don't know.
Yeah.
um,
Is di- sorry.
it's all good.
Is hurrying something that plagues you in your work? Like, do you feel pressure under deadlines and it fucks with the work ever?
Uh, I mean, it can, bro. I mean, for me, normally, like some people normally, maybe underestimate the time it'll take. I'm more of the overestimator. Like, like,
that's awesome.
well, worst case scenario, this shit's gonna take this long, like, so I'm like,
Right.
we may need longer versus no, I'll do it in an hour, like, because I've worked with cats like that too, and I'm like, bro, stop saying that shit. Like, then we only get a fucking hour, and that's forever. Like,
Right.
you need to, like, when you make a call like that, you're affecting everyone around you. That's like dudes that sell their work for hella cheap, and then it cheapens everyone.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right.
Which I've seen happen too many times, and it's like,
I think go ahead.
Oh no, it's all good, bro.
I was just gonna say, I think that's the comic industry is very much suffering from that, from people just not getting paid their worth and accepting it, and they, like, the publishers have systematically, like, lowered the rates more and more, and people just keep accepting that, like, it's doing damage.
Yeah, it's crazy, bro.
Yeah, it is, for the amount of work.
And that's all I've ever heard too with anyone working in comics is, unless you're a just specific dude or whatever it is, and even then, I think, it's you're taking a big hit.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's kind of like, I hit a point where, like, I had been working for Marvel and DC for probably a good 10 years, and I was just getting, like, nowhere, and seeing, like, getting my rates lowered, and just seeing all this shit. And I was like, I need to step back from this and think about what I want to do with my art. And I just reached a point where I was like, I just want to do my own shit and be in charge of myself. And that's when, I mean, being friends with Mahfoud certainly helps, because, I mean, he works in comics, but Mahfoud's created a path unto himself that so few people have done. And that's, like, when I discovered, like, people like you and your work, and like Quicks, who I follow on Instagram. And
Quicks is a beast.
I was like,
sure.
these guys are just artists doing what they want to do, the way they want to do it. I was like, I want to head down that path and learn how to do that and live that way.
Bro, in Mahfoud, bro, like, he's like, I'm kind of envious of his freedom. Like, the stuff I see him do, and I'm just like, damn, brother, like, that shit looks ill as fuck, and it's so raw.
Yes.
Like, how, like, I can't even let myself be that loose, bro. Like, how do you do that?
Yeah, I know. I know, dude. I mean, I've sat next to Jim so many times while we're drawing, and I'm just like, it's like breathing for him. It's like oxygen. He just inhales and exhales art. It's a fascinating thing to see. It's fucking inspiring. Dude's one of a kind, for sure.
For sure. Yeah, I was stoked to see him. Like, anytime, something about him, because it's him instantly too.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no mistaking anyone's work for his work. That's for damn sure. So nowadays, what's the bulk of your work? Is it like I'm envisioning, where, I mean, I see you're getting these mural gigs. Is that frequent?
It all depends, man. Like, let's see. I'm kind of like, I do a little bit of everything. So I'll be doing illustration, I'll be doing tour design, I'll be doing murals. Murals are absolutely my favorite thing to do.
Okay.
Like, that's, just being out painting, outside, in the street and whatever. You never know what's gonna happen, man. It's like you got a new story every day.
Right,
like,
right.
You're just out there in the street, bro. You can't control who comes up to you, who's watching you, nothing.
Right.
Like, you're just out there. And so it's a trip. Like, you run into all these, different situations and people, and it's just like, and you get immediate reaction, and it's always, raw, like whatever they think, so
Sure.
if people are digging it, like, I feel like you put a lot of pressure on yourself, because people are watching, or like looking at it, and it's just always there too, not like a gallery thing or wherever where people have to go see it. Like it's there in the street anytime, you know.
Right. Did you
and
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, and then, you know, doing stuff to a level where people respect you, you know,
Right.
in the street is a big deal. Where, because if cats don't respect you, they'll go over you,
Right.
you know. And so it's, you know, like it's been a trip to be doing all that. And yeah, man. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought trying to draw.
No, it's all good. Yeah, dude. I was talking to my friend yesterday. I was like, you know, like my podcast used to just be like an audio thing. I'd record in person, and we'd sit down
Yeah.
over a drink and have a conversation. And then when COVID hit, I was like, oh shit, I can't do that. So that's when I was like, oh, I'll draw while we talk, and that shit ain't easy. And you lose.
No, but it's genius too, though.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm hoping. I think it's cool. People who just want to listen, they can listen. And then if they want to watch us draw, I think that adds another level to it. I've had a few rappers on and different people who don't draw, and they get a kick at, like what Brown from the Far Side did one with me and Jim, and he just gets a kick out of watching us draw while we were talking. So
yeah.
I think it definitely is a unique thing. What I was going to ask you was, did you ever have a period where you weren't painting with spray paint from the time like you started doing it as a kid? Have you just continually done that?
So after being a teenager and stuff or whatever, you know, then when I was trying to get into, you know, computer shit and whatever else, I mean, my stuff always had a graph feel to it.
Yeah.
But then I came back to painting maybe like 12 years ago, more heavy, like,
Okay.
where I got back into it real strong.
That's kind of like where I am. I mean, I grew up doing it for like a few years as a little kid, and then graffiti, like just stylistically, was always a part of me. And when I was skateboarding, I really got off on like painting my board and my grip tape with graffiti stuff, but I got away from cans. And
when were you skateboarding, bro?
I grew up outside of DC in Maryland.
Okay. No, I mean like what years? Like
what years? So
how old are you?
I was skateboarding at 14 through 17, I think it was.
Yeah.
And this is like 80. It was probably like 80, 85, 86 was when I started.
It was like Bones Brigade era?
Yes, yeah, exactly.
Hell yeah.
And it was my life, man. It was my life. I got pretty damn good at it to the point where I was getting close to amateur sponsorship.
That's the shit.
I was
bro.
street though. I didn't do ramp skating. I was just doing street. But yeah.
Nah, me too, bro.
Yeah, that was the shit. I loved
I wasn't that good, but you know. But it was hella fun.
It was fun, man. It felt like fun.
Yeah.
It's the like the only way I can describe it was like I just would spend all day on street ramps. Like it just felt like I was flying, and I was in tune with my body in ways that seem impossible. Like the way you could go ahead.
Speaking of impossible, that's about when I stopped skateboarding, is when the impossible and pressure flips came out. And I was like, bro, this shit is retarded. I can't do this.
Yeah. I mean,
but also, that whole era, I think people were just like, let's just kick it and try to fucking land on it. You know,
right.
It wasn't as controlled. You know?
I was out by then, yeah. But the graphics were such a part of the skating culture. Yeah. So it was like, again, like I was like, oh shit, I like to draw and I like to skate, and they go together. And the reason I stopped was I don't know why I thought this. I was 16 and like I was skating so much and I was drawing, but I wasn't drawing as much as I used to. And I just started thinking about my future and my career, and comics was like what I really wanted to do was draw comic books.
Yeah.
And I was like, if I follow skateboarding, I'm going to be done at like 25 if I'm lucky. I'll make it that long. But after, like, you know, this skateboarding now is different. There's celebrities skateboarding. Like,
it's a different world. You know,
right,
everything is different now.
right. So, like, my heroes, like the Bones Brigade and skaters like that, no one ever didn't know who those people were until Tony Hawk put out a video game.
Right.
And
yeah,
so,
man. No, like, yeah, only the skaters knew the shit, you know, and you would see the graphics and you'd be like, oh shit, yeah.
exactly.
That's what's up, man.
Yeah.
It was more underground.
Did you have a favorite either artist or skateboard company for graphics?
Pal Peralta for sure.
Okay. I was Santa Cruz, man.
I love Santa Cruz too.
Yeah.
But the old school VCJ shit, bro, like that was the whole everything for me.
I mean, I still have a Ripper sweatshirt. So I mean, I loved the PAL graphics, but I think
peep this. Sorry. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead. Here, speak so I can hear you.
There you go. No, I just put out some paper on you, brother. So this is the Calavera Ripper.
Oh shit, that is fucking awesome.
But so yeah, I did this back in like 2013, I guess.
Dude, do you have like?
Yeah, I still want to get this tatted.
Yes, you have all your artwork. Like, you have like archives of all the shit you've done over the years.
A lot of it. Yeah. I mean, anything. I mean, now the stuff I do now, there's so much less originals half the time because I'm doing it on like a Cintiq or whatever. But so yeah, I still try to have stuff on all the older shit. Definitely, I have.
Right. Do you do most of your work vector or do you do it more raster?
Both. So Photoshop is my go-to. But so for vector shit, I normally work in Flash.
Okay.
Because when I used to do stuff for the cartoons or whatever, like I just got used to drawing in there. And at the time, I hated how Illustrator was. So I've still never, like, I still use Illustrator for stuff, but not as my main thing ever. And I actually got weirdly used to vectoring in Photoshop when I used to work at Zynga.
Oh, shit.
And so, like, the art director there, that was his style. So we all had to kind of adopt it so that we could all use the library of characters and, be able to reuse things. And so there it was like we would like draw it, sketch it out, and vector it in Photoshop, and then bring it to Flash to animate it.
Oh shit! I didn't even know you could do that.
And so the only time it touched Illustrator was to get converted, so that it could be used in Flash. So we're just kind of like, here's your PSD, bam, it goes into AI, save it, open it in Flash, and then we would break it apart into different stuff and animate it.
So do you do your line work in Photoshop then, like on the Cintiq?
Yeah, most of the time.
What made you get away from like doing your line work traditionally and then bringing it into the computer and coloring it that way?
I think it was working in video games, bro, because they were trying to expedite the process.
Okay.
And so then I just got used to drawing it in Photoshop or whatever, and then not doing the original, then scanning it, then opening it, and then doing it from there. Because they were always pushing speed. And so I think, like you just got used to not drawing it first. You would just sketch it straight in the computer. Which, is a trip,
Sure. I went through my phase of getting a Cintiq, learning software. I did a couple of Marvel projects, all digital, so that I could become familiar with it. It certainly sped me up. But then I just found myself really craving, I felt like I was turning my work my art into work. I wasn't enjoying it. And I was I'm missing the feel of my hands on paper, of like a pencil tip that's sharp and gets dull as you draw with it. And I mean, the first thing I missed was my inks, because I ink with a brush, and that's like my meditation. That's like, I feel like that's my purpose on this planet, is to do that. So
That's dope, man.
I would do that, like all my thumbnails and all my pencils digitally. I was using Manga Studio at the time. Now it's Clip Studio Paint. And then I
I'm
was
still
printing.
trying to figure out how to use those, brother.
That program,
You know?
I never was taught how to use it. I knew Photoshop because I could color in Photoshop.
Yeah.
But this was before like all those great brushes were out for inking. And I was like, let me try this Manga Studio. And I opened it and it looked just like Photoshop. But all the tools were names of traditional tools, like the Japanese nibs, like the G pen, the school pen, the Maru nib. They were all named that. And like the brushes and the pencils were all names I knew. So I literally opened it up one morning and said, let me try today. And I penciled and inked an entire X-Men page faster than I ever have. It was so intuitive and easy.
That's awesome.
So yeah, that program's really easy, but it opened up a world of like being able to make things much more perfect than I ever wanted. Like I could nudge a figure over a few pixels to make that composition like completely on point. And like I could
Right.
shrink a head down just a hair if it was slightly big. And so it was cool to discover that, but in the long run, I felt like I'm getting away. It's getting too perfect now. Like it's no longer some of that improv, some of that organic nature of what art is was disappearing too. So I eventually just started weeding out steps of the process, and now I do everything traditionally. But there are times where I do use the computer, like this is Spider-Man's going to be a painting. I'm going to paint it with real paint, but I'm going to make a Batman print. I'm going to color that in Photoshop. And sometimes I'll get a call to do a job, and it's, let's say it's a storyboard job. It needs a quick turnaround, and it just makes sense to do it digitally so I can copy and paste shit and use perspective grids just to get through it quick and get it done. But
yeah, for sure.
do you miss working traditionally? Like, do you still fuck with that too much? Like
Yeah, I mean,
now?
it's a trip, bro. Like, so, say for example, right now when I've been painting these murals, right? They're like 60 something feet long, 15 feet high. It's
Right.
all you're painting it yourself by hand. There's no fix. It's if you
Right.
gotta fix it, you fix it. But then at the same time, I'll find myself wanting to test something on the computer first and be like, shit, I don't know how that color is going to affect everything. But if I take a
Right.
picture, you take a picture, you bring it home, you can fucking draw over it in a different color and be like, oh shit, nope, don't like it. All right, cool. I don't have to like fuck it up and then
Oh,
try
that's
again.
dope. Yeah.
So that is like a dope little cheat that we have now with digital stuff.
Sure. Do you do like a sketch for the mural digitally, like a color sketch before you do the mural?
I almost never do color unless it's required. Because I normally kind of wait to show up at the wall and see what it feels like,
Right.
like because you're sketching something that's say this big, and then you get there like, oh shit, this is 60 feet, like this
Right.
is very different, like I can fit hella other shit in here that wasn't in the plan,
Right.
and so things kind of like change on the fly, but oftentimes, yeah, you will have to produce like for this, it all had to be approved ahead of time. And then I did, make some changes on the fly when working on it. But yeah, like initially they wanted to see, what you're thinking and
Sure.
get
And
that
I
approved.
remember as a kid, like I would just spend a lot of time in my sketchbook, like with Sharpies and all different markers and pigment pens, like making graph pieces. And then
Yeah.
I'd like pick my favorite one, and that would like be what I threw up on a wall. But I wasn't like painting entire walls. I was just like throwing up like a name or something.
Yeah. And
So
I've always been more of a character guy myself, um, and so Like I'll end up doing like just my name as a tag or whatever else. You know, things, I'll always be tripped out on the characters. Um, you know, I think it goes back to, you know, being into comics and everything else too, where it's like you always bugged out on the characters and, like, you know, let's say
Yeah,
how you're drawing Spider-Man or whatever it is, you know.
for sure. Yeah, I guess that's.
It's just
I'm realizing
yeah.
it's kind of weird. I didn't do that much. I did character work later towards the end. I think it was yeah. I still have a love for words and letterings. I mean, a lot of my tattoos
Oh,
are
absolutely.
words, and that's one thing I love about comics is I could do like sound effects. Like I could draw a really illustrative Spider-Man and then do like a graffiti style sound effect behind it. And
Right.
that shit I love. Like that to me is just what like everything I want to be, everything I want to do. Like combine these two like have a skill set that you can like put like the classic Renaissance knowledge to use on top of like, you know, hip hop urban graffiti looking stuff. I love that contrast. But
For sure.
I think that's kind of what I think first spoke to me when I just saw your name, Urban Aztec, because it was like that idea, like combining something that's old and sacred with something that's so new. I love that idea.
No, right on, bro.
That's good
Um,
stuff.
yeah, trying, dog. You know, always evolving and trying to get stuff popping off.
For sure, for sure. So, what are you working on these days? Like currently, you got that mural you're still working on?
Yeah, so that one's been a beast. Because it's four separate walls. So like every time I finish, I have to start over.
Oh my god! So,
You know, so it's like you don't get to celebrate and be like, "Fuck yeah, dude, that shit is
right,
tight." You're like,
right.
"Cool, start over, bro."
So, do you fly down and just stay for like a week or so, work on it, then come back?
So this one, it's not too far away. So I'm like, I'm driving down every day,
Oh,
and
okay, okay. So
yeah,
yeah, I guess yeah. So have you had a mural where you've had like far away? Have you gotten that?
yeah. So I mean, I did one in Amsterdam, and I've done one in
Oh,
Mexico City.
oh wow.
Um, and yeah, those were like, you know, that. So when you talked about being on a time crunch, yeah, those ones you're on a fucking time crunch, you
Right,
know,
right,
like.
right,
And so I think both times whatever piece I did it in one day, and I'm just like, okay, done, you
right,
know. And now let's go check this place out, you know. So,
right.
um, but yeah, and that's always fun too, man. Like just getting to put up, you know, your style somewhere where people will know it was you, and then it's out there, you know. It's always a trip, like that whole process. And but yeah, like so in the Bay Area, I have a lot of pieces. Well, so now there's a lot in San Jose. I have most of my work in Oakland, and I have a few in Richmond, and I still have a few running in San Francisco. I used to have a lot in San Francisco, but then, you know, over time, shit gets, you know, it changes or someone else paints, you know, over the wall. Like if they're in certain areas that are under, you know, different people's control, you never know what's going to happen.
Right.
Like there's certain Clarion Alley, for example, is kind of like a famous mural alley, and the homie Hyde, ICP, he hit me up to paint with him and Zor, and so we had a piece on that ran on Mission Street, um, and you know it's the one you would see from the road, and so just over time, you know, people walking by will fuck with it and whatever, and eventually, you know, someone will need to repaint it, just from whoever is walking by being a fool. Um, but there's always a lot of turnover in that area where, say, like something will run for a year, maybe two, and then someone else will paint that spot. And it's not necessarily a diss. It's just kind of like the people running the alley project. They like to let other people paint too.
I got you. I got
Um,
you. So, talk to me also about your love of hip hop. what are you listening to these days? What are the albums that mean the most to you through the years?
So I'd say currently, RTJ, bro, all the way.
Oh yeah. So I told you I'm working on a project with Farside. The other project I'm working on is with Killer Mike.
Hell yeah, bro. What are you guys doing? Or can you talk about it?
I'll tell you what. I'll tell you about it when we press stop. You and I can chat on it. But I became friendly with Mike probably about 3 years ago. I did. I was doing a book for Marvel called Illuminati, and Marvel was like, so for the first, like for the opening scene, like the Illuminati was a team of bad guys. We're like, we need like 2 New York City heroes that can fight them. Is there anyone you're itching to draw? So I was like, New York City, like I'm dying to draw the heroes for hire. Like, can I do Cage and Iron Fist? And they're like, yeah, you can do that. I was like, dope. And they were like, now remember, Luke Cage is in like street clothes now. He's not in the like gold shirt with the tiara anymore. I was like, all right. So Iron Fist design is done, but I was like, if Luke Cage is in a t-shirt and jeans, I'm going to put him in this band I'm listening to now that I love called Run the Jewels. This is after 1 came out. So I heard rap music. I loved rap music. And then RTJ 1 came out, loved that, and I was waiting on 2. So I was like, I put Luke Cage in the Run the Jewels 1 cover, like the mummy hands.
Yeah.
And so when that came out, I kind of like showed my original page and just, tagged Mike and LP and Run the Jewels just to see. And by the end of the day, Mike was DMing me and gave me his phone number, and we linked up, and I gave him that page because we're both in Atlanta, and we just connected, and he's been mad cool that, like, he invited me to a solo show he was doing. I was up on stage. Like, it's been crazy. So yeah, Run the Jewels is kind of owning shit right now.
Nah, bro, they've been my number 1 for years now.
Yeah.
And so I think I'm always like kind of slow to start listening to new stuff, right? And I think so 2 is when I like fully got down with it.
Gotcha.
And I was like, yo, they got fucking Zach De La Rocha on here, bro. Like, that's, you're stamped official now. Like, fuck it, it's on.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
And
there's definitely special.
Yeah, bro. No, they're crushing. I think I've probably seen them 5 times, something like that.
Oh, that's awesome.
And when they come through Oakland and stuff. And so I actually did a project with Gears of War 4. And so we had done some stuff. It was me, Hydro 74, and God Machine did these Rockstar camps. And so we all had our stuff in Gears 4. And I ended up painting like this giant mega can up in Seattle. And while we were there, RTJ was there performing at this event called Bumbershoot. And so we ended up getting to chop it up and chill with them out there. And I did all the artwork for their in-game shit.
That's what I was going to ask you about. Because there's a picture of you on your IG with Jamie and Mike, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so we met that day, but I think they met so many people, bro, that I don't know that they know me that much. Like,
I don't know, man. They have such appreciation for art. Like Mike and I were talking just 2 weeks ago. He was just sending me like Robert McGinnis paintings because that's his favorite artist. He was just like texting me that. Like, Mike knows art. They just have a true appreciation for visual art that I think most.
No, that's the shit, bro.
Yeah, it's legit. So I wouldn't be surprised if they did remember you.
And then another time, I'm homies with DJ Qbert.
Okay, that's dope.
Yeah, that's the homie, bro. And so when he was performing with them, he he went up on stage and performed was it Pew 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 with them. And then after the fact, he hooked me up with his pass so I could go, like backstage and stuff.
Nice.
And so then I fully pulled let's see, like the whole concert game, right? Where it's like, all right, let's see how far I can get with this pass,
Right.
And I ended up fucking walking onto the stage, and I'm like, oh shit, I'm on the stage. But now everyone's looking at me, waiting for me to do something. So I'm like, all right, this isn't that cool anymore. It was cool for a minute, but I gotta go. Like, yeah, you start rapping or get off, bro.
Right.
And yeah, so that shit's hella funny, dog.
Jim did some Mafu did some live painting hip hop shows where like he said he did one with Doom where they were painting on stage while Doom was performing.
That's wild. Yeah.
That shit's crazy. So who else you listening to these days?
Let's see. What else we got right now? I mean, I still love Most Def.
Yeah.
Keep it old school West Coast OGs too, of course. You got, Snoop, Pac,
Hell yeah.
Dre, NWA.
All the good stuff.
OG shit. E40, bro.
Oh yeah, he's here. Dude, I got into him recently. Like I always knew E40 had skill. I just like in the like late 90s and early 2000s, I was just such a like New York underground hip hop snob, I think. Like most Ruckus records, like Def Jux, all that stuff. That I think I closed my mind to things. And recently I am blown away by E40. But that album he did with Beat Legit was so good.
Yeah. No, I mean he's just barely getting recognized for his skills.
He's amazing. He's such an amazing MC. Yeah. But he also built it all himself. Like it's incredible what he's done.
Well, like because he comes from Vallejo, right? And Vallejo had its own sound, which is basically from them. So E40, the Click, Celly Cell.
Right. I remember all this.
Mac Dre, Mac Mall, like all them cats are from Vallejo, and I think being from Vallejo, they had more to prove too. Like hey, this is our shit. Like because everyone else kind of had their own sound. Like there's a Frisco style of raps. Like there's Oakland has its own style. Too Short, Drew Down, the hell other cats, but like and then Frisco would be like IMP, Il Manor Posse, Coop Nut, like super old school gangster styles, bro. You dig them. RBL Posse, and fucking Dre Dog, Andre Nicotina, super OG, bro.
I don't know much of that at all. That stuff I'd love.
Peep, Dre Dog, Smoke Dope and Rap.
Let me write that down,
bro. That was like an anthem back in the day,
All right, I'll definitely check that out.
And then we got what was I gonna say? I Got 5 on It is from the Bay. I don't know if that's
Loonies, yeah.
So I mean, like that, like I think other than Cypress Hill, the weed culture was definitely a big thing out here. And Cypress is absolutely one of my all-time favorites, bro, for sure.
Yeah, me too, dude. Their last record just destroyed me. Elephants on Acid.
Yeah.
Oh man, because I feel like so Cypress, I got so hype on them on the first record, and then like Black Sunday came out and blew up, and I loved it. But then Temples of Boom came out. I was like, this is the greatest thing I've ever heard. Like Cypress's third album was everything I wanted from them. And then from 3 on, I enjoyed what they were doing, but it didn't seem to be like the elevation from 1 to 2 and 2 to 3 didn't happen, those same jumps. And then Elephants on Acid, I was like, this is the record I was waiting for after Temples of Boom. But for them to be doing that now is fucking amazing. That record is crazy good.
No, it's a trip, man. And And like so recently I did some art for Brujeria, which is a Mexican death metal band, right?
Yeah.
And so I ended up going to their show and not knowingly that Sin Dog had started a band called Power Flow.
Yeah,
And
go ahead. I'll tell you after this. Go ahead.
yeah. And yeah, so it's, it's got Billy from Biohazard
Exactly.
and the homie from Fear Factory and the other homeboy from Brazil. I forget his name right now. But I didn't know they were going to be at the same show. And so next thing you know, I ended up chopping up with Sin Dog. I'm like,
Oh
what
shit.
the fuck is happening right now, bro?
That's amazing.
That's
amazing.
And I was like, bro, like, let me tell you, for as far as like, Latin rap goes, like you guys are the one, like we had before that we had Kid Frost, like that was it.
Right, and Mellow Man Ace.
Way back when. Yeah. And so isn't Mellow Man Ace
he's Sen's cousin, right?
His cousin or brother. I was trying to remember. But yes, that's like fully his relative.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
yeah, so we had one jam from him.
I remember after I discovered Cypress, I got a Mellow Man, I think it was a Mellow Man Ace record that had Cypress on it before they released their own shit.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And they got down with Psycho Realm too.
Oh, dude, I love that first Psycho Realm record.
Psycho Realm was sick, bro.
Yeah.
And then let's see. But yeah, so it was a trip, man. Yeah, so I told him, bro, like I was like, hey, dude, let me tell you, like as a kid growing up, like you guys changed the game, man, like for real. And Yella appreciated that shit, we were talking about some other dumb shit before, but I was like, no, let me tell you on a real level, brother, like you did a lot for us,
Yep, for sure.
You guys represented the people and shit, that didn't have as much of a voice before you came along. And
that's for damn sure. That's for damn.
Yeah, so that shit was a trip.
Did you?
And,
so you mentioned.
So I was like, how the fuck?
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry, yeah, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
How did I end up in this situation, man?
I know that. That's dude, it's amazing where our art can take us. Like I found it so cool that like because I like to draw and listen to music, like you find that a lot of the people who you like to listen to music love to look at art, and you kind of like you connect on on the similar plane. It's not like artist and fan, it's like artist, and I think there's some magic in that
Absolutely,
I love.
bro.
But so
because they're both arts, right? Whether it's visually or poetic or how they spit or whatever it is, making music, beats, everything, like it's all artistry.
Absolutely. Yeah, and to me, I mean, I love visual art, but music is like wizardry to me because I don't get it at all. I don't understand how I can hear a sound and have emotional response to it. Like that blows me away. I can understand how I can look at an image and it affect me emotionally because that's how I work. I see things and they affect me, but sound, that's an abstract idea that's fucking amazing to me.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Billy from Powerflow and Biohazard. Did you grow up listening to Biohazard?
I dug Biohazard, especially when they collabed with Onyx.
Yeah, Bionics. Yeah. So around that time, I was working with Biohazard. I did a line of their spring tour T-shirts. This had to be 95 or 96, I think it was.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I did like it was like 3 T-shirt designs for them. It was I forget which album it was. Was it called What Makes Us Tick? That might have been the name of the album. But when COVID hit and then all the like all the shit was hitting the fan with all the racial tension in the country, Billy from Biohazard, now Powerflow, who I'm friends with on Facebook, threw up all the T-shirts we did together because they were all like about like bringing people together, anti-racism and everything. And it was cool to see like they're still relevant today. But
Yeah.
it sucked on the same levels. Like, fuck, man, have we not come anywhere? Like, goddamn, we did this
No,
shit.
it's crazy, bro.
It's insane.
It's really, I mean, like, sadly, it seems that many areas, like, have kept moving and progressing, and whereas other, different spots of the country, shit is still the same as it was 100 something years ago.
Yeah,
You know?
it's fucking. I remember drawing the shirts. Like, they just let me do my thing, and I was like, I want to do like a shirt where you've got like a hardcore and metal white dude like shaking, like giving a pound to like a Latin homie Cypress Hill dude, and like their hands are like gripped and there's blood coming down from the shake. And I was a kid when I did that. I was 20, 22, I think. And I was like, this is the world I want to live in, where like, there's no boundaries. Like metal, rap, it's music. We love each other. Let's get rid of this racism shit. And just
fucking
like 20 years later, 25 years later, to see that shirt up on a site where it's like, oh shit, we still need this. It's fucked up.
Crazy, right? Like, it's I don't even know how to call it, bro. Like, because it's not, obviously not the way me or you think about life.
Exactly. And I think
some other people have issues apparently.
Exactly. Maybe I was a naive kid, but I thought we were heading in a good direction. I mean, that was a different.
Well, it's
time.
like, that's what I always loved about, like, say, like skateboarding or something too, bro. It was for everyone.
Yeah.
There was no this, that, and you had no, real advantage or anything. Everyone was about everything. And all the kids, that came together, they were just stoked that you were skating, like,
yeah, that's all that mattered was skating. I remember like
you could be whatever you were. It didn't matter.
Yeah, my skate heroes were like Tommy Guerrero, Mark Gonzalez, a lot of Latin dudes were my shit skateboarding.
Well, that's the OG street style right there.
Right. Right.
Yeah, gongs, bro. Like, fuck. Like, there's, in SF, there's still gaps called the gongs, Like, he was the first one to do stuff on them. And yeah, like Tommy Guerrero,
Fuck yeah. And Jesse.
That's the OG right there.
And what about was it Jesse over at PAL? I got a watch recently. He had the deck with the dagger on it. Oh shit!
Jesse Martinez.
Yes. Oh my god! I remember there was we had a video, because remember back then the videos you bought were just skate competitions from different parks, and it was one. I don't remember the name of the park, but it was in the Bay Area, I think, and that's where I discovered Jesse. And I like street skating. I thought that dude owned it. So I loved, and also loved his board. But I recently got a watch. Like Nixon Watch Company did a collab with Pal Peralta, and they released a bunch of watch faces with like some of the original Pal graphics. So I grabbed that one. But yeah, skating was just skate. We're all good.
Yeah, bro, it's a trip. Yeah, like what are the OGs, like fucking Alba,
exactly,
and all that whole crew,
Fuck yeah. Yeah, so seeing where things have been going, especially these past 4 years, it's been fucking, I don't know, man. I'm still kind of in disbelief at a lot of it.
No, it makes no sense. Like,
no,
that's it. I try not to even pay attention, because it's like, bro, they're just like trying to fuck up your psyche right now.
Exactly.
Like, I ain't got no time for this shit. I'm gonna go make art and not pay attention to these people.
That's exactly what we should do. Just put out art that's going to bring people together and stop worrying about the other shit.
Yeah, brother.
Sure. All right, homie. How's your piece coming?
It's been pretty good. I'm starting to fuck it up with this warm gray and realize they probably shouldn't have, but oh well.
That looks good to me, man.
Right on.
All
I'm
right.
trying to decide whether I should drop some red on this bitch or just leave it.
All right, cool. Well, let's wrap up on the podcast here because I usually go for about an hour. We've done about an hour. Let's chop it up for a minute when I'm done. But is there anything you wanted to talk about before I hit stop that you're hoping we get to? Because we can still talk if you got something we didn't hit on your end.
Oh, all good, bro. I was just having fun chopping it up for a bit.
All right, cool.
You know?
All right, so I'm gonna hit stop, but hang out because we'll chat afterwards. Thank you so much for doing this, man. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, no worries, brother.
This is the Inkpulp podcast. This is the Inkpulp podcast. Comics, hip hop,